Hello, everyone. I am Rachael Nemeth, CEO of Opus. Today on Back to Basics, I'm talking with Anthony Valletta, CEO of Bartaco. Anthony started at 13 flipping pizzas and worked every restaurant position through high school, much like me, actually. And that foundation really led to 20 years across fine dining, premium casual, QSR before he joined Bartaco. What really draws me to Anthony, not only as a colleague, but also as a friend, is his story. And he's solving a tension that every operator faces, which is how do you deliver hospitality at a fast casual labor cost? And at Bartaco, he's really reimagined the service model, rethinking traditional roles, implementing wage equity, using tech strategically, while also amplifying human connection rather than just kind of replacing it. So the model's working. It's scaling by 5 to 6 new locations annually. I'm really excited to dig in with Anthony and talk about what operators can learn from him. Anthony, welcome to Back to Basics.
Thank you for having me. It was a very nice introduction.
I like to fluff it up a little bit, get you
That's
excited.
great.
So maybe let's just start with the basics. I'm
Yeah.
really excited to dig in on kind of bridging full service and fast casual models. But tell us a little bit about yourself, a little bit about Bartaco.
Yeah. I think you covered kind of like the history in a very good fashion, everything from domestic, international, QSR to Michelin dining. So had a lot of stories. Bartaco's been around. It's our 15-year anniversary this year. We've seen quite a lot in 15 years, grown quite a lot as well. But it's meant to be kind of that escape restaurant. It was really started kind of on accident. It was supposed to be a surf shop. We really started with what the restaurant was going to feel like when you walked in. And it felt like a surf shop. And then they were going to add pizza and maybe tacos and maybe alcohol. Like, that's actually a restaurant that has surf stuff in it. And it just started to evolve. But I think we've always kind of gone for 15 years. So it's been about how you feel when you walk in. It's the vibe, it's the ambiance, it's the decor. We always put that kind of first. Like, how's a guest feel when they walk in and leave? And everything else that we do, whether it's food, beverage, and design, accompanies that. So it's been really fun and really exciting. I think it's been a fun brand.
I gotta say, I love a good surf bar. So
We've got it for you.
all right. So you started in the industry at 13. You started by making pizzas
Yeah,
at I think at an indoor sports facility.
that's correct. Yeah.
And then you worked pretty much every position through high school. The obvious question here is what did those early years teach you about hospitality and what's the through line to what you're practicing today?
Yeah, early on, it hooked me. Like, people just say you get that bug, it's just in you. And I think with hospitality early on, the two things I love is that, one, no 2 days are ever the same.
Mm.
Like, my dad was worked for PricewaterhouseCoopers for his entire career, and did well and enjoyed it. But to me, I'm like, man, I don't want to go back to the same pile on my desk that was there yesterday.
Yeah.
Every shift has an end. So you have a bad day, you have a good day, but there's just constant learning. I think the other thing with it is just like you get to be the jack of all trades in so many ways. You work in so many different departments. It's marketing, it's HR, it's learning, it's operations. And then even in the external part, you're networking one day, you're focusing on kitchen operations the next day. It was just so fun. I don't think anything that's changed. It's always been kind of the foundation of the way I look at the industry. And hospitality to me it's just fun. Like, I talk to buddies of mine, they go, my job's not as fun as yours. And obviously, I don't all the nonsense that we do behind the scenes, but just we get to experience life's best moments with people. Like, we're held responsible to celebrate birthdays, anniversaries, and promotions, and all these things. And we get to be a part of people's lives in ways that no one else can. And to me, that's just, I don't know, it's never left. Like, in my heart, it always feels like the best thing to do. No
Yeah.
matter what else is out there, any other job, this just always felt like what I wanted to do from when I first got hooked at an early age.
That was actually the thing I loved about the industry also is that I could go home and turn it off. I
Right.
could come home, I could drink a beer, I could
Yeah.
watch a show
Yeah.
and I could leave it behind. And you still care about the work that you're doing, but it's very physical work even if you're in the C-suite. But something that you just talked about really struck a chord with me. I know that you've been really reimagining the surface model at Bartaco.
Yeah.
So maybe just for listeners here, what does that actually look like? And maybe give us a sense of like what it looks like on the floor versus a more kind of traditional full service restaurant.
Yeah. And we've gone through a handful of iterations, but kind of a short backstory. In COVID, everybody went to QR codes and menus on PDFs, and we all,
Yeah.
everybody remembers that terrible time. But we got to partner with a company called One Dine early on and realized that there was probably more to it than just a PDF QR. And they were a smaller company at the time and basically said we can just do QR ordering. We saw it in QSR. They were already doing it. You had screens and monitors that people were very comfortable with. So we wanted to be able to reduce the friction for the consumer, but also make them feel safe in a time when it was very strange. But the one thing we never wanted to ever replace was hospitality, was human to human
Mm.
connection.
Yeah.
So sure, we could have just put those in and gone away with a lot of staff and managers and said, just figure it out and become more of a fast casual. But we've always been guest first. So we created a position at the time called a service leader. So they were effectively a bridge between a server and a manager. They were salaried, they were bonused. They were actually bonused weekly based off top performers. And we
Mm.
really made this a big thing. Every table was tied to a service leader, like you would assign a server in a section, open table. And we monitored feedback. We were getting hundreds of surveys a day from our guests. And it was the first thing we did every morning as a company. We watched these surveys, we tied them to our service leaders, and we really coached them up. But your only job every day is to engage the guests. You don't
Mm.
have to bring in orders anymore. Like we have food runners running food. Like your job is solely to stay in a section, engage with the guest, and create amazing experiences for them. And we were able to, in the time, the year post COVID, we were 92% staffed. We had like a 4 point, I think it was like 4.6 or 4.7% sentiment out of 5. When most people were struggling to just get food on the table.
Sure.
And
Yeah.
we were able to come out really quick. We said, there's something here. There's something to this, right? As technology continues to evolve in our business, we wanted to find the right way to take it on that didn't replace that. And over the past couple of years, we've evolved that. We're continuing to evolve that. Is how do you really keep the convenience of, I'm out with my kids and they're freaking out, I need to get out of here and pay, and I have to flag down my server. Well, great. Let's introduce Apple Pay, which we're doing now. How do you make sure that if you have a server and that server is tied up taking a large party order, I just want to reorder beer. How can I
Mm.
do that with ease? Well, we're finding that solution. So we're looking at all these touch points that us as consumers and restaurants for years been like, God, wouldn't it be nice if I could just push a button and have this happen? We've tried to incorporate that, but never at the sacrifice of engagement hospitality. So every point was really a supplement. So when we found savings from the labor model that we first did, instead of just putting that to the bottom line, we reinvested that in our team. Every
Mm.
manager for 2 years in our company had an executive coach, like a true executive coach. And to us, it was about developing the individual of how do you become a better leader, better at home and at work, and really work on engagement, because we hear a lot in today's workforce, like, oh, it's hard to find people that want to engage and hard to find people that can do that. I don't know that it's hard. I just think they haven't been taught the same way that we were taught, because we had to do it when we were at that age.
What is that difference, though, between the way that they were taught and the way that we were taught?
I mean, you think when I grew up in the industry, like there wasn't the technology was a point of sale system that had little buttons that were worn
Yeah.
out on. I mean,
Like squirrel.
so yeah, that's exactly right. I mean, so the only way that we could really understand a guest was to get to know them and remember them. Right? I remember the old school reservation book that you wrote in, and you moved back pages. Oh, Rachel came in last Saturday. Oh, she was this. Okay, I got it. I mean, everything was written down, so you were forced to develop these skills that today are just automated for you. And that's great.
Mm.
It's amazing that now Rachel comes in and I have everything except for her social security number if I want it to come in when she dines. So I can customize your experience, but not having to fact find that. And I think the ease of access to information, it doesn't make you as proud to have it. I
Mm.
think when I was in the industry early on, I was so proud to say, oh, guys, that's Rachel. She's the
Right,
CEO.
knowing your regulars.
Yeah, I mean, it
Yeah.
was really this team effort where one person didn't have to remember everybody, but as a
Yeah.
group, our job was to recognize and engage those moments. Now it's like just put the name in the system,
Hmm.
and then it's like, do you really want to do something with that? And you have to train them to do something with information, which you can do. But I think the pride you get when it's like I spotted Rachel first because I remembered her. Now all of a sudden I want to continue that trend because my boss or whoever realized like, hey, great job. And
And that's what you're really incentivizing, right? It's like, I
right,
want you to know these people. But I think most operators that are listening are really thinking hospitality is expensive. And something you said earlier is, well, we found actually savings in our labor. So I think you're proving that hospitality isn't expensive. outdated service models are expensive. So
Correct.
can you just break down the economics for us?
Yeah, I mean, basically, because we've been able to use technology in this aspect, the efficiency of what one, let's just say, server, for example, can do. In a traditional model, they can take, call it 3 to 4 tables, whatever, depending on the level of service you're at, because they're doing everything. Like, there's not much. They've got handhelds, the best thing they've got, but that just eliminates steps, not a lot of time. Putting some of this in the guest's hands, the part that they enjoy, now allows our staff to take 6 to 8 tables. So now I've already reduced down, like, for every 2 servers, I need one. That's just one example. This magnifies in all
Sure.
positions.
Yeah.
But I haven't sacrificed the engagement. I've actually increased our guest sentiment for the past few years has gone up year over year over year. We have we have yet to regress, and we're like a 4.78 year to date this year. So we're providing better guest experiences and better engagement with less labor, but really focused labor on the fact is your job is strictly to do X, and
Mm.
the servers know their job is to really engage. And I think the next iteration, a little look under the hood that we're working on now, that we're at a pilot phase right now, is we want a handheld to take that information and immediately push it to the handheld. So now, as a server goes to your table, I have all the historical information about Rachel's order.
Mm.
Now, if I'm really good at my trade, I go in and say, I've got your margarita spicy on the way with no salt. I know you're going to have it start off, but you want the guac as well? And it's like, wow, that's the magic. It's not, and I think when we first started with this, it was a little creepy years ago. We're like, how do you know I want, like, but people now understand that data is there. Like I think everybody's accepted to a certain extent that some information is there. So I think when it's a level of engagement of, I've got your drink on the way, it's great to meet you, I'm Anthony, take care of you, you've automatically created this dialogue where, wow, they're really here to listen to me. What else should I tell them? And we start learning more. I think that's the unlock. That's the magic formula that I don't think anybody has perfectly yet, nor do we. But I believe that's where everybody's going, and we're going to see more of
That last part is exactly what's going through my mind. I'm thinking the other day, I went to a popular clothing retail chain to get like a couple of shirts, and imagine how that level of hospitality, because even in other industries, people are hospitality forward. I think restaurants get the H word, but it's really everywhere. And imagine what would have changed if a salesperson, if someone on the floor had walked up to me and had known my purchase history and said, listen, like, I can recommend this for you. This is a new line that we have out today. So that's a really interesting concept that I can see transferring across any sort of guest facing role, whether it's in fast casual, fine dining, what have you. I don't know if fine dining wants to have handhelds just yet, but like
it.
maybe.
Right. But the idea behind it, you're right. I mean, it's
Yeah.
the book "Hug Your Customers." If you read it, it's the same philosophy. I actually went to an event at their retail shop. It's like they took notes for years before anything was even in existence, and that's how they created this luxury retail
Sure.
shop, because they knew your size, your taste, your preference, and then they would reach out and, hey, Rachel, there's some new shirts that came in that we just got. They're the ones you bought are on discount. Do you want me to put a few aside for you? It's the little things that people, I think, are trying to overcomplicate our business. And when technology comes in, it's like, oh, we can do this and this and this and this. And you get into like analysis paralysis.
Yeah.
Like at the end of the day, guests want to come in. Yeah, they want good food and good service, of course. But they just want to be recognized and appreciated.
Yeah.
That's really what they want, because they're spending their dollars with,
Let's do that.
I don't care if it's me or a QSR or Michelin done. They're choosing to spend their dollars at my restaurant. My obligation is to make sure those dollars to them feel very well spent. And all this other stuff, I think, is getting in the way of just looking someone in the eye, shaking their hand, saying thank you, and delivering on what your promise is. If you do
Mm.
that, like, you should win 7 days a week. Really, it's like everybody thinks there's like a secret sauce. Like, there really isn't. The industry hasn't really changed in terms of people are going out to get a great experience.
Yeah.
That's going to be there forever, no matter how involved tech is or not. And I think sometimes we get distracted.
Yeah. We're definitely like beyond the tech boom in the industry and to a place where I see a lot of people resorting back to just like grassroots hospitality.
Yeah.
I think you also have done something interesting just in your economic model, in that you're paying folks, $20 to $40 an hour. How does wage equity actually pencil against traditional tipped models? Like,
Yeah.
what's the benefit?
When it first started, the idea was, we really wanted a team mentality. And I think a lot of times when you start having heavy differentiation in terms of pay or server sections, or we reward loyalty always. That's important to us. But we're doing the same job each day and we're all contributing to the guest experience and we all should benefit from that. And when an entire team is making relatively the same amount of money per hour and they're all involved in tips and they all get to split that, they all want to be involved in making sure service is great. Tips is the acronym for to ensure proper service. So if everyone has an impact on ensuring proper service and driving that number up, not just the server, which traditionally is the one that always is highly impacted, they all want to work together to make sure they're doing things, in my opinion, to go above and beyond. So when we built that core philosophy, that was a huge component is, hey, you all have impact on increasing, or for that matter, decreasing your wages, hopefully not. And in the team, it's not, well, I don't have the good section like they do, or they make more money, the work is hard. And honestly, the hardest working people in the restaurants are the dishwashers, and they get paid the least in every restaurant in the world. So being able to make sure they were paid above market helped us attract really good talent. And we've evolved that model. We're continually working on how we can kind of adjust because some things just need to be adjusted. But I also think in the world today, there's so much inequity of pay. And a lot of it talk about salary component, but it doesn't stop there. It's everywhere. So for us, if we're going to have pay structures, there needs to be really good discipline around why. It's not just I like Rachel, I'm going to give her a buck. Like there needs to be really clear indicators of if you perform at this level, no matter who you are, you should be paid at this level. And it's never a perfect black and white scenario, but we try to create ways that recognize great performance, continually reward great performance, and really work on what we think is even more important is like total comp. Because everybody talks about the dollar, but they forget about there's a lot of other things, at least in my opinion, that the upcoming workforce is valuing more than the dollar. I just talked to an assistant manager yesterday, great kid out of Virginia. And I asked him, I said, hey, I'm just curious from your perspective. He's been with us for started as a server, moved his way up. I said, what's important to you in terms of total compensation? Not just your paycheck, because that's important, but and he said, all the things that you guys offer, I think is great. It would be awesome just to be able to have cell phone reimbursement. I'm like, okay, good to know. And it's minor, but I think we have these conversations so often that we offered Duolingo to our entire team for free. Just, you want to learn a language? Great, we'll give it to you. And it's so small, but it's amazing how many people are engaged. They're like, oh my God, I love this. So I think for us, it was like, how do you make it not only just fair and equitable across the course of what's being taken home in a paycheck, but fair and equitable to understand that our workforce, we're managing such a variety of generations, the largest amount of generations in one workforce that we've ever seen. And everybody wants something different. So how do you make sure there's an equity too of not just saying, well, I'm focusing on my younger staff and giving them what they want. Meanwhile, my staff that might be, in their 50s that have some different needs, like, well, I don't feel like I'm hurt. So it started at kind of equity of pay and has now moved into equity of offering and making sure that everybody feels like they're heard, there's something for them in our company, and that we recognize that hard work is not just paid in terms of a dollar, it's paid in terms of other benefits we can give them. So it's been an amazing transformation and honestly, great conversations. And we have an incredible team that leads this and continually pushes on here's something new we should do and here's something else we think about. And I believe that's the wave of the future for compensation. And I think people are getting it wrong where I have to pay so much money for a sous chef and labor is so high. Labor's gone up forever.
It will continue to, yes.
It's up.
It doesn't go down, it goes up.
Yeah. But it's like, how do you supplement it to make sure that your team feels like that dollar is really well earned?
Right. Well, and restaurants are competing for market share for customers, but also for employees. And you have to find some way to attract folks. I think there's always been this sort of loosely held truism about, well, we need to offer benefits in the industry, but you found a way to do that through kind of affordable perks and other offerings that really speaks to kind of what you're trying to build and how you're achieving what you are on the guest satisfaction side. I want to peel back a little bit and talk about people and culture at scale. You guys are growing fast. Remind me how many locations you have now?
33, soon to
Okay.
be 34. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. This isn't like a mom and pop restaurant on Long Island and you've
Yeah.
just been able to spend all of your time and energy on one unit. Like you're actually thinking about how to scale this model. So let's talk about the people who are on the floor. Walk me through your ideal team member. Like what specific qualities are really signaling someone who can thrive in your model versus like who are the folks that might struggle within it?
Yeah. I mean, for us, there's two things that we look at heavily. I think one is grit. We move really fast. The goalpost always moves. Yeah. That's just who we are. They're never going to stay in one spot because the places that stay in one spot, I hate to say this, the one's going bankrupt now. That's been years of bad habits, not everybody, but so you need to have some grittiness. And we look at the fact of adaptability quotient, meaning things are constantly changing, they're constantly evolving. And what is your response to forever change? Because that's the way we run our company. We fail fast and forward. I believe that. I ask that question to my team all the time. Like, what have you failed at? Really failed at? And we celebrate those failures. But you have to have a high adaptability quotient to work within our company so that we can continue to progress and move forward, but not lose our culture. Because
Couldn't you say that about any part of the industry though? Like
I
does
think
any part of the industry require adaptability to some extent? And why would it require more at Bartaco? Or is it the same?
I think you're right. It does. I think the difference with us is that we still act like a mom and pop. Like you go to some of these brands that grow at scale, or some of these brands that are somewhat established, and it's like, here's your playbook. Stay in the lane on 10 and 2, and you drive 65 miles an hour down the highway. And if you do that, good job. Like you're
Yeah.
going to succeed here. And every now and again, maybe you drive a little faster, a little slower, but don't go too far off kilt. We give you guardrails, but I don't care if the highway is 16 lanes wide. Like drive any lane you want, as fast as you want, as slow as you want, whatever car you want. Just don't go outside the guardrails, because that's our brand, right? We don't impact the brand.
Sure.
And we really believe that we've changed so many things in our company because of feedback from hourlies, because they push the limits.
Mm.
We encourage our team to act like the mom and pop of like, go out and try something. Don't go outside the boundaries, but try whatever you want inside there. And some of the best evolution of our brand, both from an operation perspective and from a guest perspective, have come from our team having the freedom to do that. But to do that means that you have to adapt quickly, and you have to be able to adapt to failure, because you might need to try something where you say, it's okay, didn't work, move on, or that worked, okay, everybody's got to do this now. And I don't think a lot of companies of our scale and size work that way. It's a slippery slope. Like it has to be embedded in your culture to allow that to be normal. And we're not perfect at it either, but we work really hard to embrace that mentality. And I think if you want to do that and constantly innovate like we're trying to do, you have to have a really high AQ, and you have to have grit. And like if you don't have those two things, it's really hard to flourish and feel like it's a place for you. Some people just want to go in, and there's the people have left us and like they want to go in and turn the key and chat with a few tables and write a floor plan and go home. And that's okay. But that's just not who we want to be.
So then how do you interview for this? How are you coaching your managers to, what's the question that they need to be asking or what's the process that they're following?
The advice I always give to my team, and I always say this when the people that I interview, like when you get to the point of you like the candidate, the next step in the interview is to talk them out of the job. Like
Mm.
literally, I mean, like at that point, I look at interviewing as a little bit of a sales process, and then
Sure.
it's a you don't want to buy this process. Like sell the
Yeah.
brand, they sell themselves. It goes both ways. All of a sudden, you're both smitten, and it's like, oh, good, the first date went great. Now it's like, let me tell you all the bad things you don't know about. Like,
Yeah.
and not in a bad way, but more, it's like I want them to know, hey, listen, our goalposts move a lot, and we move fast, and we change a lot of things. And just when you get comfortable, we want you to live in a world of uncomfort, and we're very transparent, and we're going to tell you good and bad, like where you miss. And we focus on the 1%, not the 99 that's going great. And like we tell them these things not to say that we're by any means a bad place to work, and we're a great place to work, but we're really open of who we are. And I think at that point, it's like, if you want to come to a place that's going to push you beyond limits, and you're going to work really hard, and you're going to be uncomfortable, but you're going to learn a whole lot. My goal is that when someone comes on board with our brand, and if they leave, no matter what they do, they leave a better person and a better leader. Those are the two things I care about. Everybody focuses a lot on like, I need them to be the best bartaco server. I'm like, no, I need them to just be the best hospitality individual that it can be. And if that's with us or somebody else, I hope it's with us, but obviously I want them to leave as a better individual. And that's really what we look for. But it's like, that's the key. Like, yeah, you can tell there's behavioral questions and things you do. And we've got interview guides and they're fine. But nothing can teach you when you're at a table with somebody. Like my ultimate test, I would say, if you're on the fence, would you go out for a beer? And if you hesitate to say yes, don't hire them. I don't care the position. I don't care if they're washing dishes or busting tables. There's just something like, you sit with somebody and talk, like, yeah, this makes sense. That's what they're going to do with your employees and with your guests.
Right.
Exactly. So it's like there's all these people come up with all these great guides and things, and we use them to an extent. But to me, it's a litmus test of like, do you want to have a beer with them, and do they really? If you can't talk them out of this job, you've got somebody good. Like, you really have found somebody solid.
Something you just said made me start thinking in this vein. 10 years ago, if I talked to any CEO, they would not openly share that they are not concerned if their team gains skills at their business and then moves on to the next. And I'm hearing it more and more. Is it because, and the question I'm asking myself is like, is it because I'm only talking to progressive CEOs who are like game changers? Or is this actually a changing sentiment in the industry and perhaps beyond, where we've sort of said, well, like, turnover is just natural in the industry. It's going to happen, but let's have control over the kind of skills we develop while we have the people in front of us.
I think it's a great question. I think more and more CEOs in the industry have to be progressive. I think they're recognizing. I think there is a shift of that. So that might be part of it. I think that's a necessity in our world today. But I think the thing comes, yes, turnover is inevitable. I mean, we have great tenure team. I'm proud of that, but people leave. It happens. And I think people understand that in order to attract some of the best talent in today's workforce, different than 10 years ago, very much so. 10 years ago was if I make good money and I have a stable paycheck and a stable job and I know I can be here for the next 10 years, I'm good. I don't really need to go anywhere unless you upset me. I think now staff is looking for that. They're looking for someone that cares about who they are and cares about their development and their path.
Is that a generation thing?
I think it's generational. I really do.
Yeah.
And I think some of the CEOs, I'm not speaking ill, but I think some of the CEOs that have been in this industry for a very long time and are probably on the tail end of their career, it's too hard to recognize how far that gap has come. I think when you're seeing some of the CEOs that are the up and coming leaders for the next decade in our industry, they see that, they're attached to that, and they realize the benefit of that. And I think that's where we're going to continue to go. I think people really, they care. Like I had an employee, he worked for us for 7 years, since it was his second stint with us. And he decided he wanted to move on to try something different level of time. And I said, I'm happy for you. Like, we've spent a lot of money invested in him. And I said, let me know how I can help you out. Send me a resume. I'll send over to some of my contacts. And he said, I feel very uncomfortable sending you my resume.
I don't blame
leaving you after 7 years. And I said, no, listen, you have helped us immensely.
Yeah.
You put you on the brand. And I'm proud of what you've done. I'm happy that you feel you've grown and you've grown enough to recognize that you just want to try something different. And I'd be happy to help you out. And it was like that exchange. I think he's kind of got that old school mentality of, I'm leaving you. You're not going to talk to me. And I just think the world's changed a lot. And I think we all realize it's a small industry and it's all connected at some point or another. And I really think that's vital in the coming ages of leadership for us. I think we'll see more of it, not less of it.
Well, to stay on this topic and kind of round out this view of hospitality, but hospitality in service of scale too, your model really requires soft skills here, arguably more than other guest-facing positions, reading guests, creating energy, managing the room. So how do you actually develop those skills within a fast casual time frame and with kind of budget constraints? Some of these skills can take years. How do you ramp someone to get to that place?
It's a great question. And there's no way to ramp them faster. I think The key for us is the restaurants themselves. We create kind of discipline in systems in order to keep some of the most important things in check daily. And I think more of it is teaching them the feeling. It's less about getting the skills. I mean, you're exactly right. It takes years to develop some of these things, but using examples, walking through and telling a manager to close their eyes in the dining room and tell me what it feels like. You can't accelerate the fact they're going to walk in a restaurant and just be like, like some of us, it's just ingrained because we've been doing it for so long. But I think for us, it's teaching a different way to look at things. Again, sitting in the dining room and closing your eyes. What does it smell like? What does it feel like? What does it sound like? Oh, that's interesting. Great. Okay. Walk outside for 2 minutes and then walk into the restaurant. Like, how is the lighting? Do your eyes squint? Like, I think more of this is to develop soft skills. You have to teach soft. There's not a book or a manual to go through and say, okay, here's exactly what happens after daylight savings at 7:00.
Contextual to your environment. Yeah.
It is. So it's like it has to be a feeling. And I think for us, we want to train more of how it's supposed to feel, like I said in the beginning, because they're going to take their interpretation of what it feels like to them. Because I can't say it has to feel this way, because my level of music is different than yours. So if I say this is the way it's supposed to feel, and you're like, oh God, that's so loud. Well, that's what we want. So at least if you know and walk in and say, God, that's loud, that must be right. It's fine. But if I tell them the music needs to be comfortable, well, your comfort is different than mine. So much of it to me is just giving them kind of something to relate to. Make them say, this is the feeling. And then if you're unsure what to do at that point, hey, here's this training guide over here. You can walk through and read about it. But most people, I think, traditionally have said, here's the training guide, do this, and then it'll feel this way. You're like, I don't know that I see the connection. So I think for us, we try to really push that aspect of it. And I think that resonates more where you're training with like more muscle memory than you are with just, I know this and I know this and I know this and I know this. And it's like, we're not good test takers. That's why we're in the industry. Most people are in our business because they're probably not great at taking tests necessarily. Not all, but some. But we're all good at, if you love this industry and you're good at it, you're good at knowing what it feels like to feel genuine warmth and hospitality. It's just, you're never going to teach that.
20 years later and change, I still remember some of the greatest moments I had with customers.
Yeah.
That moment when, you're a barista and you realize you've got, the orders of all of your regulars right. And it feels so good. And you're making $7. Well, at that time I was making $7 an hour and you're working for tips, but you don't do it just for the tips. You do it because it feels good. But I love the sort of tactical tips that you're getting around how you can teach someone to sense those things. At the beginning of this conversation, I had mentioned that you guys have found this really thoughtful blend of technology, but also the human experience. You guys just started using Opus. And I'm curious what made you realize you needed training technology to support that scale?
Yeah. I mean, honestly, it's our team. Like I believe everything that we do, we can learn on the ground. And our team was the one that was telling us. We were using some gamification previously, but then we had Google Drive. I mean, things all over the place. And the team just came to us and was like, this is what we really want. This is how we want to be able to have reference guides. This is how we want to learn. This is how we want to also train our people. Like there was so much, and they didn't specifically say like, hey, I want to do what it was more, hey, here's what would be great. I'd love to have this. If we could have this. And when we took all that information and kind of talked about it, it's like, this is what the team wants. Give them what they need to be successful, because we can't create what we want without them having the tools they feel are necessary. We went out to look for who had those tools. It was Opus. And I think the team's excited about being able to have a real full 360 LMS that can support all the change that we're doing, because we are moving so fast. We need a system that can move with us. Mm-hmm. It's not the old school, here's your playbook, put in a system, and then it just sits there forever. I mean, I've been in those brands in years past, and it worked in that time. Now it has to be constantly evolving, and it has to be exciting enough to want to engage with it. And I think so many, LMSs today, it's like, oh, like, sure, it just feels very structured and rudimentary, and like, having something that's appealing and fun. It's like, oh, great, I actually want to engage with this. It's easy to engage with. It makes sense. I get good benefit from it. And there's continual ways to do that training. That's what our team wanted. That's what led us to you.
Mm. It's also just a reflection of your philosophy around the adaptability quotient and how you've sort of made this promise to your team. We will continue to evolve because the world is evolving. The industry is
Literally.
evolving. Well, Anthony, this has been so fun. I always enjoy our conversations. I want to end with our lightning round. This is everyone's favorite part. This is where they get to know you better as a human. I'm going to ask you some questions. Just try to answer as quickly as you can with as little context as possible to leave that element of mystery that everyone loves. First question, what was your first job?
You mentioned I was flipping pizzas at an indoor sports bar.
What's a food trend you're completely over?
Food that looks better on Instagram than it actually tastes.
That's a good one. I haven't heard that one before. Describe yourself as a leader in one word.
Intentional.
Tell me about a time recently where you were humbled.
Honestly, being a CEO humbles me every day. Taking the job, I always thought like everyone thinks it's about having the answers. It's actually about asking the right questions.
Work-life balance or work-life integration?
Integration.
Give us one tip for operators on how to stay calm in a stressful job.
Walk the floor. The answers for like almost any question is right in front of you with your people and your guests.
I love that. What are you learning right now and going back to basics on?
We're putting like an immense amount of time on clarity. Like for me, just understanding clarity of communication. Like I mentioned earlier, we overcomplicate our business. And my goal now is to ensure that my team knows what matters most, which is the guest, and what doesn't matter. I'm really trying to relearn the basics of like clear, concise communication, very filtered down.
Last question. If you could give your 25-year-old self one piece of advice, what would it be?
Ask for help sooner. When I was young, I thought like independence was strength. And now I know like collaboration is really, really it. The moment like we stop pretending we know the answers and the moment we really start kind of asking those questions is when learning really happens. And I definitely did not do that when I was 25.
Yeah. How can you know though when you're 25? Anthony, thank you so much for joining me. This was awesome. And hopefully we'll see you on another episode.
Sounds good. Thanks again.